Notes 2b. Writing equations in point-slope form. Objective. I can write linear equations given the slope and a point, 2 points. I can convert point-slope form to slope-intercept form, point-slope form to standard, general form. Focus teaks 2b. Other teaks 3a and 2c. Essential question. What do I need in order to write a linear equation? What are the procedures in doing so? Here's the vocabulary. Know how to pronounce these words and the formulas. Point-slope form. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Slope-intercept form. mx plus b equals y, where the slope, m, is the coefficient in front of x. Slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Standard linear form. ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers. Given slope and y-intercept. Go ahead and write this down on your Pear Deck foldable. Your slope equals 3 and your y-intercept is 0, 5. So your slope-intercept equation is, we have y equals mx plus b. So y equals 3x plus 5. Because m is 3 and y, the b, the y-intercept, is 5 plus 5. Let's go to the next one. Standard to slope-intercept. We have 6x plus 3y equals 12. Step 1. Make space for the 6x. So we have 6x plus 3y equals space plus 12. Step 2. Subtract 6x from each expression. So minus 6x, both sides of the equation. So we have, this is 0, they cancel. We have 3y equals negative 6x plus 12. Step 3, you want to divide 3 by each term to get the y by itself. 3y divided by 3 is 1y. Negative 6x divided by 3 is negative 2x. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So your slope-intercept form is y equals negative 2x plus 4. Writing point-slope form. Write an equation in point-slope form that has a slope of 2 and passes through the point negative 4, 3. So we're going to label that point x1, y1. The slope, m, is 2. So we recall the formula from our first page of the foldable. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Let's go ahead and identify each of these values. So y equals y, y1 equals 3, m equals 2, x equals x, and x1 equals negative 4. So we're going to plug those into the formula that we are given. So we have y minus 3 equals 2 parentheses x minus -4. Two negatives together, multiplied together, makes a positive. So your point slope form is y minus 3 equals 2 parentheses x plus 4. And that is your equation. The point that you're given has the opposite signs of what your answer will have. Instead of a -4, we have a +4. Instead of +3, we have a -3. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Write point slope form. A line contains the points -2, 4, and 1, -20. Write an equation in point slope form. First, we want to label our points. x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to use those 2 points to find our slope. Let's recall the slope formula. We have m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. If you plug those in, you get -20 minus 4 all over 1 minus -2. So that equals -24 over 1 plus 2, which equals -24 divided by 3. That equals -8. -8 is our slope, m. Let's plug it into the point slope formula. Recall the formula y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Plug in the numbers. We have y minus 4 equals -8 parentheses x minus -2. These two negatives make a positive, so our point slope form will be y minus 4 equals -8 parentheses x plus 2. And notice if you look at our first point, the sides are opposite. Instead of a -2, we have a +2. Instead of a +4, we have a -4. We could have also used this point. You would get the same answer. Let's look at the next one. Point slope to slope intercept. The first step, distribute the 2, multiply each term in the parentheses by 2. So we have y minus 4 equals 2 times x is 2x. 2 times -3 is a -6. Step 2, add 4 to each expression to get y by itself, to isolate the y. So we have y equals 2x minus 2. So we have our answer in slope-intercept form. Y equals 2x minus 2, where the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is 0, -2. Let's look at the next one. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the points -4, 2 and 12, 6? The first thing we would do is label our points. x1, y1, x2, y2. From here, recall our slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Plug that into the formula. You get 6 minus 2 all over 12 minus -4, which equals 4 over 12 plus 4, which equals 4 over 16. We can reduce this fraction by dividing each number by 4. So our slope is 1/4. The next step, we want to put in point slope form. So recall that equation, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. So we have y minus 2 equals 1/4 parentheses x minus -4. So the first thing you want to do here is distribute. Well, before that, we have two negatives. That's going to make a positive. We have y minus 2 equals 1/4 parentheses x plus 4. Now distribute that 1/4, multiply each term inside the parentheses by 1/4. So we have y minus 2 equals 1/4 x, and then 1/4 times 4 is 4 divided by 4 times 1, which is just 1. From here, we want to add 2 to each expression. I will go ahead and rewrite this equation right here so we can continue with the steps. So plus 2, we will line up the constants on top of each other. So we have y equals 1/4 x plus 3. And that is our slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept to standard. Y equals 2/5 x plus 3. Let's do the algebraic steps and the verbal steps. Step 1, move x to the other side. So we'll do minus 2/5 x minus 2/5 x. And we want to line up the x with the space because there's no x on this expression, on this side of the equation. So we have -2/5 x, bring down the y, plus y equals 3. The next step, we want all the coefficients to be integers. This has a fraction, so we have to get rid of that. To get rid of the 5 in the denominator, multiply each term by 5. So we'll multiply these terms by 5 and 3 by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times -2 is -2. So we have -2x. Multiply this 5 by 1, y, which was plus 5y, equals 5 times 3 is 15. And this is our standard form. Point slope to standard. Y minus 5 equals -8 parentheses x plus 2. So we're going to do the algebraic steps and the verbal steps. Step 1, distribute that -8. Multiply each term inside the parentheses by -8. So we have y minus 5 equals -8 times x is -8x. -8 times +2 is a -16. Step 2, add 5 to each expression. Now we have the slope-intercept form, y equals -8x minus 11. But we want it in standard form, so we have to keep going. So the next step, we want to add 8x to each expression. So plus 8x plus 8x. Notice we line up the x with the space because there's no x term on this side. So we have 8x plus 1y equals -11. Now we have our equation in standard form. 8x plus 1y equals -11. They are all integers, so we are done. Write equation in standard form. What is the equation in standard form that has a graph that passes through the point -4, 2? It has a slope of 9/2. First, we will label our point x1, y1. Our slope m is 9/2. So now we want to recall the point-slope equation. Y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Plug in our given values. Y is y minus y1, which is 2, equals m 9/2 parentheses x minus x1, which is -4. So step 1, plug in y1, m, and x2 into the point-slope equation. Step 2, two negatives make a positive. So we have y minus 2 equals 9/2 parentheses x plus 4. From here, we're going to distribute that 9/2, multiply each term in the parentheses by 9/2. So we have y minus 2 equals 9/2 times x is 9/2 x, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 9 is 18, so we have plus 18. From here, we want to add 2 to each expression to get y by itself and put it in slope-intercept form. We want this in standard form, so we have to keep going. We have y equals 9/2 x plus 20. To get the constant by itself, we're going to subtract each expression by 9/2 x. So minus 9/2 x minus 9/2 x. So we subtract 9/2 x from each expression to isolate the constant. So now we have -9x plus 1y equals 20. We have a fraction and we only want integers in standard form, so we must multiply each term by 2 to get rid of our fractions. So our final answer is negative 9x plus 2y equals 40. And that's our standard form. Our answer is negative 9x plus 2y equals 40. Because these 2's will cancel for the x term. 2 times 1y is 2y. And then 2 times 20 is 40. Let's go on to the other Pear Deck foldable, 2C. Notes 2C, writing linear functions. Objective, I can write linear functions given a table, graph, story problem. Essential question, how can I use linear functions to identify the slope, y-intercept, and x-intercept? Focus teaks, 2C. Other teaks, 3A and 2B. Vocabulary. Increasing, positive slope. Decreasing, negative slope. Lattice point, where the grid lines cross. Slope, m equals the change in y over the change in x. Delta y all over delta x. Change of y over change of x. Y-intercept, where function crosses y-axis, 0, b. X-intercept, where the function crosses x-axis, root, 0. Slope-intercept form, y equals m times x plus b. Writing linear functions from tables. Step 1, find the change in y. Find delta y. So from 21 to 14, you subtract 7. From 14 to 7, we still subtract 7. So that's step 1. Step 2, find delta x. From 0 to 3, we add 3, so plus 3. From 3 to 6, we add 3 plus 3. So that's step 2. Step 3, state the slope, delta y over delta x. So the change in y is negative 7, the change in x is positive 3. Negative 7 over positive 3 is a negative 7/3. That's our slope, m. Step 4, find b. When x equals 0, y equals 21. So that's our b, plus 21. Step 5, write your equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So if y equals negative 7/3 x plus 21. And that's our slope-intercept form. Writing linear functions from graphs. Step 1. Is the graph increasing or decreasing? This graph is decreasing. Step 2. Label 2 lattice points on the line. It doesn't matter which lattice points we can use this one, this one, this one, any of these, as long as it's on the line. Let's use these two. Step 3, draw your triangle. Count your rise. Each square is skip counted by 2. So that's 4. Count your run. Each of those are skip counted by 1s. So that's 2. Step 4, M is your rise over your run. So we have 4 over 2. It's decreasing, so that's a negative slope. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, so that's our slope. Step 5, label your y-intercept to find B. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. That's at 0, 4. That's your y-intercept. So your B is a positive 4. Your last step, step 6, write your equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So we have y equals negative 2x plus 4. Writing equations from graph and point slope form. The graph of a linear function is shown on the grid. Which equation is best represented by this graph? We have 2's and 7's, so let's label our lattice point with a 2 and a 7. That would be this point right here. We have 7, 2. Let's label another point on our graph. Let's go ahead and label our y-intercept. We have 0, negative 3. The next step, we want to draw our triangle. So our rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 because each square is skip counted by ones. Our run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 because each square is skip counted by ones. This is a positive slope, so it's increasing. So M equals positive 5 over 7. That's our rise is 5, our run 7. So we can automatically take out the choices that don't have that slope. Our answer choices are in point slope form. Recall that formula, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Our m is 5/7, so it can't be A, it can't be B. Our point is 7, 2. So if we plug that into our point slope formula, we have y minus y1, which is 2, equals m, which is 5/7, x minus 7. Let's see which ones match those answer choices. This doesn't, and this doesn't. The negative 2 matches, the negative 7 matches. So our answer would be D. Notice our point, when we plug it into the point slope formula, will always be the opposite signs. Instead of a positive 2, it's a negative 2. Instead of a positive 7, it's a negative 7. Write an equation in point slope form from table. The table represents some points on the graph of a linear function. So step 1, we want to find our change in y. So from negative 268 to negative 196, we add 72. Because negative 196 minus negative 268 is a positive 72. We could do the same thing for the other points. This one will be a little bit different. 84. Now we're going to find change in x. From negative 20 to negative 14, that's a plus 6. We add 6 to negative 20 to get negative 14. From negative 14 to negative 8, we also add 6. And from negative 8 to negative 1, we add 7. If it says that it represents a linear function, you only have to look at the first 2 points. We don't even have to look at those two. So our change in y over our change in x is equal to 72, positive 72 over positive 6. 72 divided by 6 is 12. That's your slope m. From here, we're going to look at the point negative 20, comma, negative 268. Now, why are we choosing this point, you may ask? It's because our answer choices have 20 and 268 in them. It does not have any of the other points. If it had the other points, you would use those instead. So continuing, recall the point slope formula, y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1. Plug in your values. So you have y minus negative 268 equals m, which is 12, parentheses x minus x1, which is negative 20. Two negatives make a positive, two negatives make a positive. So our point slope form would be y plus 268 equals 12, parentheses, x plus 20. Let's compare our answer choices. It can't be f because that is the incorrect slope, so we can automatically cross that out. G, that is also not the correct slope, so we could cross that out. H, that's the correct slope, and J, that's the correct slope. Now let's compare our 268 and our 20, our points. 268, we have a plus, that's good, plus 20, that's good. Now let's look at J, plus 20, plus 268. Oh no, they put them in the wrong spots. So those are incorrect. So the answer is H. Writing linear functions from word problems. Write this on your foldable. BHS. It stands for box the numbers, highlight keywords, select tools to show work, and justify. So let's do that first. Let's read the problem. Billy plans to paint baskets. The paint costs $14.50. The baskets cost $7.25 each. Write an equation in slope-intercept form to model this. So let's highlight our important information. Well, first, let's box the numbers. So we have $14.50 and we have $7.25. Now let's highlight our keywords. Paint costs. The baskets cost $7.25 each. Write equation in slope-intercept form. So now we've highlighted our keywords. Let's label what those mean. Costs. That's the initial cost, the original cost. That's B. That's your y-intercept. Look at the word each. If it says each, per, or for every, it's almost always going to be the slope, m. Write an equation in slope-intercept form to model this. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So we identified the slope. In this case, we didn't even have to use our formula because they gave us the key word each. So our slope is $7.25 per basket. Step 3, identify B. That's your starting point. Our B is $14.50. And then step 4, write your equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. You just put these two numbers together in the formula. Y equals 7.25x plus b, which is $14.50. And that's it.